Pleased to be joined by the Bear, Chris Fallica. So, Bear, I know there are a couple of issues, but let's start with anything that bothered you, surprised you, that you disagreed with from the rankings.
I don't think anything really surprised me, but one thing that bothers me a little bit, I think Oklahoma State should be ranked higher than Notre Dame. You look at Oklahoma State's best win, Baylor, who's ranked 4 spots ahead of Wisconsin, who was Notre Dame's best win, and that was a very deceiving final score. That was a Wisconsin turnover meltdown that made that score really get out of hand in the fourth quarter. But this is an Oklahoma State defense that is filled with upperclassmen. They haven't allowed more than 24 points all year long. Oklahoma State, I think, is a team that might even control its own destiny if they were to win the Big 12.
Bear, would you say it's safe to say, though, even with that ranking, I was saying earlier that Cincinnati's got to be careful of teams like Oklahoma State behind them. Oklahoma State's got some opponents, potentially, they get to the Big 12 championship. If they keep winning, don't you see them, even if Notre Dame's winning, with a real shot to go right by them?
I do, because you look, what does Notre Dame have left? Stanford and Georgia Tech, and I think one other game, that would be either 2 wins over Oklahoma or a second win over Baylor and a win over Oklahoma. And the quality of those wins, I think, certainly would cause Oklahoma State to catapult the Cowboys up there. I think if you're Cincinnati, you are a massive Georgia fan. I think you want Georgia to give Alabama that second loss, or else if Alabama were to beat Georgia, you're going to get 2 SEC teams. So Cincinnati, you are all in on the big old red and black coming down the track.
Wait, let's see. The 27th, they're playing. Okay, that's been a problem historically. So I like them, but that's been a problem.
And Bear, I think you're talking about exactly why in the beginning of the rankings, why I said if I'm Cincinnati, I'm not relaxing, because every conversation we have, we've picked out another team that if they went out can get ahead of Cincinnati, and now we're doing it again. Shrinking. Yeah, now we're doing it again with an Oklahoma State team who wasn't on the radar when we first had these rankings. And that's why I always wonder, like when we say, hey, relax, don't worry about it. Michigan State can relax. They're going to get there. Cincinnati can't relax, and every spot matters, because now we're talking about another team jumping ahead of them.
Yeah.
No, it does. And one thing I think Cincinnati should be paying attention to as well is if you look at the Power 5, I just did the math quickly in my head, you've got a max. If everything goes perfectly for these Power 5 teams, you have a max of 8 teams that could have 1 loss. And all we know, things do not go perfectly. I mean, the committee might potentially be in a position to take a 2-loss team if that were to happen. I'm not saying they would take a 2-loss team if there's a 1-loss team that they could, or an undefeated Cincinnati, but that might work out that way, where the available group of teams might have 2 losses. And I know we were kicking this around as well, Reese. Like, I think if there are a bunch of 2-loss teams and Alabama is a 2-loss team, I think they will be the least likely team to go into the playoff. Because what are you going to do? You're going to drop them to 4 and force them to play, force Georgia to play them again. The Ole Miss win, obviously, is a good win, but everything else in that schedule, the Florida win certainly has been diminished. Mississippi State, fine, but I don't know. I think there could be a potential for a 2-loss team to have to be selected.
Well, here's the caveat that changes it. If Alabama is a 2-loss conference champion, then that might be different. That lose to Arkansas or Auburn and then beat Georgia.
I think this year, with what we've had go on so far throughout the season, I don't think we're done. So I'm not saying Cincinnati's out of the mix. I'm not saying they're worried about everybody behind it. I think Cincinnati's got I don't know what the numbers are. I know we got these cool numbers of who's going to make the playoffs.
Reese has all the numbers.
I would put it in a good chance. If I'm Cincinnati, I don't feel great because I don't control my own destiny. I think Cincinnati's got a really good chance to make the playoffs if they handle it.
Me too.
Yeah. If I had to, this is going to get some traction. I don't think these are necessarily the best teams. But if I had to pick 4 teams right now to survive and make the playoff, Herbie, real fast, I would say Georgia, Ohio State, Cincinnati, and Notre Dame. Because I think they might be the survivors.
I think Oklahoma State has a shot to get up there potentially, and then it would be a discussion who is outside of Georgia and Ohio State. You have Oregon. Is it Oklahoma State? Is it Cincinnati? That would be a pretty interesting debate. You think Oregon's going to go down to Utah then, right? One of these games.
One of the two. And Oklahoma State, as much as I like to
go down one of the 2 matchups,
if they have that, I mean, I think there's a big opportunity, as Bears pointed out.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.